What if the resume you laughed at belonged to the person who would one day decide your paycheck? The office lobby was buzzing with the sound of ringing phones and shuffling papers as Angela Brown, determined black woman in her late 20s, walked in holding her resume tightly. She had spent weeks perfecting it, highlighting her MBA, years of experience, and leadership skills. This job wasn't just another position. It was the opportunity she had been working toward her whole life. Behind the reception desk sat Mr. Harris, the hiring manager, a man in his 40s with slicked back hair and a smug expression. As Angela handed over her resume, he gave her a once-over, his smirk widening. "Angela Brown," he said slowly, flipping through her papers without interest. He chuckled under his breath. "This is cute." Angela stiffened. "Excuse me?" Mr. Harris leaned back in his chair, holding her resume with 2 fingers, as though it were beneath him. "I've seen dozens of candidates today, Ivy League graduates, people with real experience. And you expect me to believe someone like you is qualified for this role?" A few employees nearby stopped to listen. Angela's cheeks burned, but she stood tall. "Everything on that paper is real. I earned every degree, every achievement." But Harris laughed louder this time, tossing her resume onto the desk as though it were worthless. "Look, sweetheart," he sneered, "we're not running a charity here. Why don't you try applying somewhere smaller? Maybe you'll fit in there." The words stung like a slap. Angela gathered her resume with shaking hands, her heart heavy. The humiliation in front of strangers was almost unbearable. As she turned to leave, Harris called out one last time, "Better luck next time," though honestly, I doubt there'll be one. Angela walked out of that office with fire in her eyes. He saw her as small, unworthy. But what he didn't know was that his laughter had just lit the spark of something much bigger. And years later, he'd regret every single word. The woman he laughed at was building the empire that would one day own him. Angela left that office humiliated but not broken. Instead of quitting, she doubled her efforts. She took consulting gigs, worked late nights, and poured everything into building her own career. Within a few years, she had climbed the corporate ladder first as a project manager, then as a director. Every rejection fueled her hunger. She remembered Mr. Harris's words like a scar. People with real experience. And so, Angela built that experience 10 times over. By her mid-30s, Angela had become a respected executive, known for her sharp strategies and ability to turn struggling companies around. Her leadership caught the attention of investors, and soon she was chosen to head a major merger between 2 powerful firms. At the announcement meeting, her name echoed through the room. "Please welcome our new regional vice president, Angela Brown." The applause was thunderous. Angela smiled, poised and powerful. But nothing prepared her for what happened next. On her first official day at the new office, she stepped out of the elevator, her heels clicking confidently against the marble floor. Employees stopped to watch as she entered. Her reputation had preceded her. And then she saw him, Mr. Harris, the same hiring manager who had once laughed at her resume, now older, with a few more wrinkles, but the same arrogant smirk until his eyes landed on her. The color drained from his face. His mouth fell open. "You," he whispered, unable to finish. Angela's gaze was steady, her voice calm but sharp. "Hello, Mr. Harris, I see you're still here," he stammered, trying to recover. I didn't know you were your new boss," she finished for him, a small smile playing at her lips. "Yes, that's exactly who I am." The office went silent. Employees exchanged wide-eyed glances, sensing the tension. For the first time, Harris was speechless. The resume he had mocked, the candidate he had dismissed, now stood before him with the power to control his career. And Angela hadn't even begun to show him what real leadership looked like. The laughter that once crushed her would now echo back to him in front of the entire office. The following week, Angela called a mandatory staff meeting. The conference room filled quickly, everyone whispering about the new boss. At the head of the table, Angela stood tall, her presence commanding respect. Beside her, nervously clutching his notepad, sat Mr. Harris. His arrogance was gone. He looked like a man walking into his own trial. Angela began, "When I first walked into this office years ago, I wasn't seen for my skills. I was judged by something else, something no resume could erase." Her eyes flicked toward Harris, who shrank in his seat. The room was silent. Every employee leaned in. Angela continued, "I was told I didn't belong, that my qualifications were a joke. But let me tell you something, what people laugh at today can be the very thing they depend on tomorrow." Gasps rippled across the room. Everyone understood exactly who she was talking about. Harris's face flushed crimson, sweat forming on his forehead. Angela then turned directly to him. "Mr. Harris, do you remember my resume?" He swallowed hard, his voice barely a whisper. "Why, yes, you laughed at it. You humiliated me in front of others." Her tone was steady, but powerful. "But instead of breaking me, you pushed me harder. Now you answer to me." The room erupted in murmurs. Harris lowered his head, too ashamed to meet her gaze. Angela let the silence linger before addressing the entire staff again. "Let this be a lesson to everyone. Never underestimate someone because of where they come from, how they look, or the name on their resume. Talent has no color. Dedication has no limits." The employees broke into applause, some even standing. For them, this wasn't just a new boss. It was a new era. As the meeting ended, Angela walked past Harris, pausing only to deliver the final words he would never forget. "You once told me I didn't have real experience. Now I'll give you the chance to learn from mine. Do better, or you won't be here long." Harris nodded silently, his pride shattered. Angela smiled faintly, not out of revenge, but triumph. She had proven him wrong, not just for herself, but for every person who had ever been told they weren't enough. And this time, the whole world had witnessed who the real failure was.